Okay.
We ready?
Yeah. Woo. All right. Orville, and all of our listeners out there. We want to apologize for this late start, but we got it going now. So, welcome to the new 40 Acres and the New Mule. My guest here today is Mr. Montrell Jamari. Welcome, my brother. Happy Friday.
Happy Friday to you, brother. How you doing?
Oh, man, I'm doing well. Thank you very much. So I'm excited once again to get my brain all educated and all that good stuff. So, without further ado, man, I'm going to turn it over to you.
All right. Well, it's good seeing you as always, Brother Bobby. We've been really gaining a lot of great ground on this series.
Yes, sir.
And so I just want to thank you once again for this opportunity to present to the audience and to the world out there the new 40 Acres and a Mule.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
I think that this is the beginning of something great. I really believe that we can gain a bunch of ground, and a lot of people are going to be able to change their perspective on life and their sense of freedom through this series. I also believe that part of it, that we're covering a whole lot of information, and not everything can be covered, within this scope of time, because we have an hour roundabout that we have with the audience, every Friday. And so our series is coming toward the end, and so we're going to, I know we discussed a little bit last week about looking at extending parts of the program.
Yes.
So that's something that we can kind of entertain, you and I, and we can kind of work through that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so where we left off last time, we were going to talk a little bit more about the passion, and then the question that I left the audience last week was for them to think about it for 1 week, to ask them, ask yourself, what would you be doing if no one would pay you to do it? Okay, so let's to those who are out there in radio land, we want to thank you for tuning in. Also, those in the Facebook world, thank you for tuning in. But now we want everyone to ask themselves the question and think about it. Okay, what would you be doing if no one would pay you to do it? Right, that's the question.
So mine would be kind of what I'm doing right now at this moment. And probably doing that music. That's DJ is what I would really. I could do that without being paid because
Awesome.
I have that passion for just to do music. So.
Well, let me ask you this: what are some of the things that that turns you on about DJing? That really gets you going. What is it about DJing that you really enjoy?
When I just know that from the music that I play, someone is just really having a good time, and they just showing that on the dance floor. To where I'm a person, I like to dance myself, and I really could appreciate when I go out going dancing and things like that, when a DJ play a song that you're familiar with, and then it just has a beat. Because one of the things I've learned as a DJ is people tend to like to dance to songs that they know because they know the next beat, and it's not so much of the words, it's just knowing that beat so you can stay on rhythm.
Nice. Yeah, awesome.
So yep.
Well, I'm a West Coast swing dancer, and so that's something that I really enjoy. And I didn't know that about a lot of people, but that was one of the things that they really enjoy is when they hear a song that they're familiar with. Right, it's easier for them to keep time.
Yes, sir.
They love the rhythm of it. They love the lyrics, and they know when that hit comes.
Right. Yes, sir. So yeah, that's exactly what it is, man. And so, just being in that whole arena, and just knowing that through your actions of DJing, people that had a good time. Because normally, being that I sweat a lot already. But when I go out dancing, I leave the club wet. And that was years ago, and that was just wet from sweating. But I went to clubs, not to get intoxicated and things like that. I went to go dance, and so I really enjoyed dancing.
Awesome. So would you say that there's a certain skill set that's involved with DJing?
Oh yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
what kind of
Yeah.
skill sets
Just,
are involved with it?
Just one, knowing, being familiar with music. As I've grown to where I've learned to where it's called beat matching, where you take a song, several songs that has the same beats per minute, and so that just makes your mixing transitioning a lot good. It keeps people on rhythm. But the one biggest thing that I really have learned and I start doing is I'm starting to mix music within the beat PMs as well as which key the music in. So it could be a C minor or A minor and all that kind of stuff. And so in doing that, I mean, I've been practicing because I'm actually DJing a 50th birthday party in a couple of weeks. But the biggest thing is what I was just kind of sharing with my wife, being all excited of just that transition just seems totally seamless. And what DJs, their goal is to try to make songs transition without people knowing, to where you think the whole time somebody is doing a mix, it's the same song.
Wow.
Yeah, and so that's kind of your goal and objective of what DJs, feel that what makes them a good DJ.
Right.
Besides the scratching and all that, it's just that transitioning from one song to another.
Sure.
Yeah.
So I know that there's a lot, and that's awesome. We're going to talk about the particulars of certain passions that we have, right? And making those things work for us. But I know that the big hit back in the 70s was the Sugar Hill Gang, right?
Yes, sir.
So when I mentioned the Sugar Hill Gang, everybody has that beat, that
Rappers delight.
Rappers delight, right? And so, but when people heard the song, it made them want to dance. They feel it, even to this day.
Yes, sir.
Right?
Yep.
And then, so that has a certain type of rhythm, and it has a certain type of energy to it. Okay, and then when you transition to say like Earth, Wind, and Fire, so they have a certain energy, that comes along with it.
Yes, sir.
And so what I'm hearing from you is that DJing, you have to be in tune with number one, what the music is saying and conveying. Number two, the key that it's in. That's a whole different thing I didn't know about.
Yes.
Right? The key that it's in, and then it has to be kind of seamless.
Yes.
So that energy keeps going.
Yep, exactly.
Right? And it keeps people wanting more.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Got it.
So, what I'm hearing from you, Bobby, is that if no one would pay you to do DJing, right? Nobody gave you a red cent for it. That's something that you would do.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So, out there in Facebook land, I got my mother, Sheila Thomas. Shouts out to her.
Okay. All right.
My little sister,
Okay.
Lorraine Morris.
Hey. All right.
AKA Sugar Lump. That's what I call her.
I ain't gonna call you that.
So we certainly thank you guys for tuning in.
Yes, indeed.
Okay, and we had some. There's all kinds of folks out in the community that are listening in.
Yes,
and we
sir.
certainly appreciate
Yes.
them. So what we want to do is we want to one more question. I'm going to ask you a series of questions because this is tying into exactly what the meat of our the new 40 Acres and the New Mule. Okay. Would you say that there is something about DJing that that you feel is liberating?
Yep, it's just the thing that knowing that through my selection of music, at the end of the day, people had a good time. I don't know, some DJs probably DJ for their egos, but that is my passion. That's my joy at the end of the day when, whether if it's at the club or I DJ the wedding, for people to come up and say, wow, I really enjoyed myself.
Awesome.
So like one of the things that I do when I do weddings, I really try to work with the bride and groom, because another ego of a DJ, that's the last thing that I want from someone's wedding, which is one of the most important days in some folks' life, to walk away and, you know, they're on their honeymoon and something just comes up negative about the DJ and the music and just all that kind of stuff.
Well, that'd be a tragedy.
Right, that's and
right.
so it could have, if we allow it, it could affect someone's ego, being that, you know, we want to make sure as that DJ that we did whatever we could to make their day one of the most joyous days in their life.
So you're very influential. Like if it comes to a wedding,
Yes.
gosh, you can really make or break a good time just by
Yes.
DJing, right?
Yes.
Not having the proper equipment,
Yes, sir.
not pre-selecting your songs, not talking to the bride and groom about some of the music that they like.
Exactly.
They may not like Sugar,
Right,
Sugar
exactly.
Delight,
Yep.
Rapper's Delight.
Yep.
Okay, they may like something a little bit different.
Mhm.
So all of those things play into you being able to transform other people's lives and
Yes.
to be that influential.
Yeah.
So you play a significant role. So what I would like to do at this moment, Bobby, if it's okay with
Yes.
you.
I'm following your lead.
All right, I would like folks out there on Facebook just to go ahead and put in. First of all, if you guys can smash that like button, that'd be awesome.
Okay. Smash.
Smash that like button. We're gonna try to get this up on YouTube. I talked
Yes,
about
indeed.
that. So
Yes.
because there's a lot of YouTubers out. I'm a YouTuber.
Okay.
And so we want to get this message out to the world.
Mhm.
Okay. So and also if you folks out there on Facebook, if you're listening to this, if you can go ahead and share it. We want African American Family Cultural Center to be prominent. We know that these folks are doing really good work here, and also the message that we're sending today. So if you can share it, and that would be awesome. What I would like for the audience out there to do is I would like for you to put in that box some of the things that you're passionate about. Okay, put in the box something you're passionate about. We're going to read it off.
I like that. I like that.
What do you think? We want to make
That's
this
good.
interactive.
Yes, let's do that.
Okay.
Especially being the beauty of this technology, and these are things that we're talking about. We want to be able to chime in because it's going on a while now. 20, 30 years ago, we wouldn't be able to do what we're doing now.
Yeah,
so yes, definitely get involved.
Okay.
Smash that like button.
And one person put smashed. Also, if you would, Brother Bobby, if you could give them the phone numbers.
Yes.
So we want our radio listeners to call in and tell us what you're passionate about.
And we can even get you live on the air, and that call-in number is 530-532-8854. Once again, 530-532-8854.
Awesome. This is a great series. So we're going to kind of, as they are writing in, one person wrote in, Lorraine Moore, she wrote in, she's passionate about personal development.
Thank you, Lorraine.
All right, personal development, that's awesome.
Wow.
Okay, so there's a whole lot that's into that. So I'm a licensed marriage and family therapist.
Mhm.
And that's part of the thing that I am very passionate about is this type of one-to-one interaction with people.
Mhm.
I really love working with folks out there in the community. I love change. I love seeing people to be able to accomplish their goals. That's part of what I am that really gets me going. So I have my own dreams about going back to Mufangano Island where my people are from. And giving them the opportunity to live their dreams.
Wow.
And so with my grandfather passing, he gave me a piece of land out there, and I plan on building a library and a computer center for the kids out there.
Wow.
And opening up a small psychotherapy clinic and teach them skills and teach other people skills so they can go home and teach their families and things of that nature, other people out there. So that's part of what I am passionate about. And that's my long and short-term goal. We're going to talk about those long and short-term goals. Boy, this is like this is a family affair. I got all my sisters today.
He's dominating this one.
I got all my sisters. And then I had my uncle Caesar. He listens in on the radio.
Okay,
too.
right on. Good,
Yeah,
good stuff.
it's
Good
awesome.
stuff.
Okay, so we have somebody else wrote in autistic behavior. Oh, altruistic behavior, altruistic. That means, going out there and seeing the good that's out there in the world, wanting to do good. And
Wow.
I brought that up in our last radio station. It's a Swahili word that I put together. It's called Uhusani Watu, meaning the big village, right?
Mhm.
The greater good. It's the things that we're working on right now. Okay. So we're going to look at some of the particulars. We're going to jump ahead. We talked about reparations last week, okay? And there's a little bit of information that I would like to give to you. John Conveyors, I think that's how you say his last name, John Conveyors Jr. From 1989 to the year 2017, he was wanting to push forward the idea of reparations. It didn't pass, it didn't go through legislation. But he was really wanting that to happen. And so there was another person, Brother Randall, who's out there, and he was part of a committee about the tragedies of the transatlantic slave trade. We talked about that in the first series, from Africa, the Middle Passage from Africa to America, to South America, and to the Caribbeans out there, where we were used as manual labor. And then throughout the years, they estimated, he estimated, he's an economist, he estimated to be about $1.4 trillion in lost revenue for African Americans, 1.4 trillion that we were not paid for. Okay, so that's quite a bit of money that I believe the U.S. government is probably not going to give back to the descendants of slaves, of enslaved Africans, I should say. So we did look at the Harlem Renaissance, and the point of the Harlem Renaissance was seeing people who were just as passionate. Okay, they were passionate about some of the things that they were gifted in, right? They didn't look at the reparations. They didn't, I didn't read anything about them pushing forward, trying to get the reparations. But after the passage of the Emancipation Proclamation by President Lincoln, after the Civil War of 1865, we had a lot of former enslaved Africans, and there was also proposals too about enslaved African Americans who, after the age of 40 years old, they were set free. Okay, this was before the Emancipation Proclamation, but soon after that, legally, it was illegal to own slaves. All right, and so there were, afterwards, what I didn't know was that there were black men and black women in Congress at that time, afterwards, right? So we held very high prominent positions. There was a lot of people along the Mississippi Delta that I brought up before in our past talk, that they were very successful in being entrepreneurs, and that's the word that we're looking at today, is entrepreneurship. Okay, being able to go out, to own your own business, and to be in control of your own life. That's ultimately what we want.
Yes.
Is to have that type of control. Excuse me. We don't want to be controlled by anything else. Now, there is a certain type of paradigm shift that's happening as far as people looking to be free of the 9 to 5. Right? There's nothing wrong with the 9 to 5. I mean, I'm not knocking that, but that's not what our series is about. Okay, our series is about being your own person, being free to live out the passions that you want. The 40 acres and a mule. The mule is your computer. All right. The new 40 acres is the World Wide Web. It's all open to you. Okay. So there is no limitations to what you can have and what you can own. All right. So part of what we have to do first is to discover our passions. What are we truly passionate about? Okay. And then there are certain types of criteria that go along with this new passion. Okay. We can't just be passionate about something with no clear direction.
Exactly.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay, so we have to have our long and short-term goals involved, and then we talked about how the game doesn't change, but it just looks different.
Yes, you're
Okay.
absolutely correct.
Right? So this game is still the same. It just looks entirely different. Okay, so we have to understand how this nation is governed. This nation is a capitalistic society. It's based on capital, all right? So it caters to people who own their own business, right? Not the 9-to-5 worker. Because the 9-to-5 worker is a person that's going to pay the most in taxes. Is the person that's going to be the first ones that's laid off. Is going to be the first one that is going to experience the hardness of poverty when it does come, or if there is a type of dip in the economy, which we experienced in 2008, they're the first ones that are going to be affected by it. Okay, when the government decided to take out $700 billion and give it back to the banks, we were the taxpayers, the American people were the ones that were being affected by that. Okay, so we have to understand where we are in society, what kind of society that we're living in as capital. All right. Now, so the thing that we have to take into account is that since it's based on the capitalistic society, it caters to people who own their own business. There's so many tax write-offs and things like that that are involved in it. So we have to be really understanding of that crucial point. And this is something that you can talk to your CPA or an economic advisor about it. Those type of professionals about the different tax laws that are involved in it. Since I've opened up my own private practice, there's this whole world is opened up to me about writing off different expenses that are involved with the whole business, right? Or if I didn't have the business, I wouldn't be able to write that off.
Exactly.
I'll be paying taxes on it. Okay, so this is just not for you to be free and then that's it. You're up skipping in a Thule somewhere. Okay, it's not that way. There's certain benefits behind you owning your own business. Okay, financially, they say that the number one. I think this was taken from the Heart Association. I can't remember exactly where this information is taken from, but the number one time when people have heart attacks, check this out, is between Sunday and Monday. That's the peak hours when people have their heart attacks. And I have to ask myself the question, why is it on Sunday and Monday?
I know.
Right?
First thing came to my mind is the reality of you having to go back to work.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. That's when people stroke out and have their heart attacks.
Oh.
Come on.
I haven't reached for my chest yet, but I can show Matt could think about some of the things that come in my mind come Sunday night and Monday morning. So I can relate to. I'm serious. That's why I made the comment I made, because it makes sense, man. It makes sense. And then we saying, why is the weekend so short? I can remember being in a conversation with my wife to where, why can't we have the luxury of working 2 days a week and off for 5 days? But this is we live in a capitalist society. It is what it is. So,
well, yeah, and you're a worker cog. You're a cog in the wheel.
Yep.
Okay, the working man is a cog in the wheel, and I've done it for years, and I'm still doing it. I'm not knocking that.
Right.
But I'm telling you that when that cog gets worn out, and it will, right? When that cog gets worn out, it gets replaced.
Yes. So true.
Am I right about that?
So true.
Okay,
so true.
It gets replaced, and that's just the way that it is.
And you think about it even on another level, to where in some situation that cog has been replaced by a machine.
It's so true. It's so true. Look what happened in Detroit, Michigan.
Yeah.
Right? That was a motor city. Booming. Had a beautiful, the middle class, the black middle class during that time were doing very well. Because people were working and folks were sitting at the table to eat. The whole family structure were together, the family systems, communication, things of that nature. But when that whole turnaround of technology happened, and there was a number of other different reasons why the Motor City went down the way it did, look at what's happening now, right? Look what's happening now. And so, you will. I mean, that's just the way it is. That's the way that the society is, the direction society is moving in, is now that a whole lot of jobs that you could have done before can now be done by a computer that can work 24 hours.
Yep.
Where,
Exactly.
and they don't have workman's comp.
Yep. They ain't gotta pay overtime.
They don't have to pay overtime. It's more convenient.
Yep.
Right, we're gonna start seeing more and more of those type of replacements in the near future, because that's the advancement of technology that's happening, right? So we have to consider those things, and then, you know, if you can't do that job, they can replace you with someone else.
Exactly. Yep.
All right, someone that's younger, someone that's stronger, someone that has probably more education. Even now, you know, people are graduating from college and things like that, and they're doing other quote unquote menial jobs,
Mhm.
okay, with a higher degree. So where does that leave people who don't have that higher degree? You know, you can be replaced. So we have to start thinking about other ways of our thinking of other ways to have total control over our lives, and also other ways of being free. Okay, that's not freedom, that is stress, that's anxiety.
Mhm.
That's what that is. That's a heart attack come Monday morning. You think about Sunday night. You can't even enjoy your family,
That's right.
right? You're thinking about the boss that you don't really like. You're thinking about the people that don't like you.
Yes, sir.
Okay, you're thinking about all, and I'm not pointing any fingers, I'm putting this out general. This is
Right.
across the nation.
Exactly.
This is some of the things that I personally have dealt with people in my own private practice that are dealing with it right now. Folks that have doctorate degrees, stressed out, don't even want to go to work, right? Fearing the idea of going to work. And they've done they're at the apex of their career, getting ready to retire and things like that. Okay, so do we really want that in our life? Do we really want this? And we only have a short amount of time on this earth.
And so I even just think about this even a little bit more, and I've been thinking about this lately since we had this conversation. So you threw out some of the things, you know, on Sunday night, they dreading how, you know, not only do I don't want to go to work because I don't like my boss or I don't like a coworker, but, and I like the way you put it, but they are enslaved because they know they have to make that house payment.
They have to. Yeah.
So now I just, you know, me personally putting the pieces to the puzzle together even more. I see why there's studies showing how people are having heart attacks on between Sunday and Monday.
Mm-hmm.
People, wow, thank you for doing what you're doing right now.
I hear you.
Because, you know, people can take this for what it's worth, but at the end of the day, if folks are not equipped in their tool belt with this knowledge so they could live healthier lives, shame on them.
So I'm gonna give you an example, Bobby. I'm gonna give you an example. Okay, so these are people I know personally. Okay, I'm not just talking off the top of my head.
Mhm.
I'm telling you things that I know personally and my research and my study over the years. So there was excuse me, I have to sneeze.
So while he's sneezing real quick, we gonna do a little station break here real quick.
Yo 107.1 FM, KOYO, Yo Community Radio.
Okay, and we're back. Bless you.
So these are people I know personally. All right. So there was one woman who was going to work every day, super stressed out. All the things that we've talked about, with gaining weight, was eating unhealthy, was not going to her gym. You know, she was just really stressed. Okay. Decided to go out on her own, and she had this desire and this passion to work with people in marketing. I believe that's what her thing was in marketing. So I happened to do a West Coast Swing conference in Maui, and I was teaching out there with one of my friends, John Piper. He's a great. They have their own studio. They're celebrating their 1 year anniversary. It's downtown dance in Chico. Shouts out to them. But anyhow, she was stressed out. Decided to go on her own. Took all of her all of her resources and invested into her own self. Okay, it took her years to get the business up and going, but she started to see the slow increase, right? The slow increase of people really wanting her service and really benefiting from her services. So we were just talking, I think it was probably no more than a month ago, you know, and she was just so happy. We had that conversation before, and now she makes, I think it's around $22,000 a month, or $15,000 to $22,000 a month. Okay, but from the time we talked before, she was doing really good, but it took her a long time to get to that point. But she increased it by $5,000 a month. And there's another friend I just talked to, you know, who has her own business, as a paralegal. You know, she does really meticulous work, and she just increased her services, and now she has other clients coming in, and other lawyers wanting her services and things like that. She's getting more clients, but she's owning her own business and things like that. We're just on the phone with each other, and you know, and she's really doing well for herself. You know, and she's making so much money a month. I'm not saying that everybody out there is going to be able to do that, but once you start opening up the door to your own business, the sky's the limit. Okay, there is no bounds to what you can do. So we have to look at both sides of it. One side of working the 9 to 5 is security, and that's what a lot of people cling to. All right, they're secure in knowing that they can make that house payment.
Yes.
They're secure in knowing that they can make the student loan payment. They're secure in knowing that they can make their automobile payment, right? But it comes along with this dread of stress and slavery. That they're slaving, they don't even see the money, right? The money just comes straight out of their bank account to another person,
Right.
right? So these are the things that are really that the vast majority of Americans are doing. So I'm a marriage and family therapist. I deal with communication, relationship issues, and things of that nature, and stress, anxiety, and all, you know, across it. That's what I'm licensed to do. I'm not licensed to be an economic advisor or anything to that nature, so I want to make that clear. But what I am showing the audience out there is that these are the people that I come across very frequently. People who are stressed out over money. Their marriage is breaking down because of money. All right?
I agree.
You know, that's one of the major reasons. You know, it's not infidelity or anything that could be a result of the money, you know,
Right.
or other kinds of reasons.
Exactly.
But money seems to be one of the biggest catalysts to people breaking up and people having struggles in their relationship. They're not making enough money, or if they do, they can make. If you're making $200,000 a year or whatever it is, and you have $250,000 in bills, where does it go? Okay, what does that leave you? It leaves you stressed out. Okay, and you can make $1 million a year, but it's all relative.
Right.
Okay, so these are the things that we have to think about when we are, you know, wanting something better for ourselves. Okay, we want to be free. That's the thing. Freedom is key. Listen to Dave Ramsey. Listen to you know, all these other people who have been there, done that, who have been broke, who have been poor, who have been on the streets, who have been without anything, and that have experienced the heat of poverty. Right? Poverty is I tell you, it doesn't feel good whatsoever. And I'm not saying that I made it over to the top or anything. I still got a ways to go, but I feel much better knowing that I have avenues.
Right.
Okay, I'm there with you guys. There's other avenues that we can. There's hope out there by building your 40 acres in the mule, your new 40 acres in the mule. Really tapping into the idea of e-commerce. You know, of understanding that the internet never sleeps. 24 hours a day. I love that sound when I get from eBay. It goes cha-ching late at night, right? Late at night, okay. I know what that sound means. It means that I sold something on eBay and it's time for me to ship it out. Okay?
Wow.
And Amazon, right now, you know, and I was telling someone about that. I said, you know, what I do, I think we could let's transition into the business part of it.
Let's
The
go.
small businesses.
Let's go.
Okay, so what we can do is, I don't think we should spend much time in waiting for reparations. There's other people out there maybe working on it. So I think that the American people it would be a good idea. I don't like putting shoulds on people. But I think it's a good idea for people to focus in on what they're passionate about and making that thing work for you. Is it gardening? Is it skiing? Is it going out traveling? Is it some of the things that you desire to do? You can make that into a business. You can.
You know, Montreal, you're absolutely right. And I was watching, and I don't know how real these judge shows and all that kind of stuff are, but when I heard you say traveling, this lady came to mind. There's this lady who was on one of them judge shows, traveling the world, but she was doing it on the expense of other people.
Mm-hmm.
So she was booking these trips of places where she wanted to go, and inviting other people, and she wasn't really making money, but she was passionate about traveling the world, and so that's what she told the judge. Why she do that? Because the judge thought it was amazing that she was doing, to where you booking these trips and you get to go for free. She was just passionate about traveling, and so that was her riches. Whether if she made $1 million or not, she was getting the enjoyment of her from her life by traveling. And like I said, she was just doing it on the expense of other people.
So yeah, so this is what the audience out there, I don't think they're working hard enough. They're not writing in enough for me. Okay, so we're gonna give them homework assignments. All right, those out there in radio land. Okay, I want you to write down this word. Okay, those who are out there, all right, get up your pen and paper and write this word down. This is an acronym. It's OPM. OPM. Okay, OPM stands for other people's money.
Oh, you almost going. Oh, I ain't gonna. I love it.
OPM is other people's money.
Well, as folks in Facebook now can see, I'm taking notes too, because this is new to me too. So we learning this together, everybody.
OPM is other people's money. What the lady was doing was she was using other folks, other people's money to go out and travel and do the things that she wants to do that they're interested in doing. They're interested in.
Yep, exactly.
Okay, they want to know about certain wineries down in Napa Valley. They want to know about certain castles out there in Germany. They want all the inside scoop about where she should go, where they should go to eat, and things like that. So they're going to, write, listening on her blogs and things like that, and they may have like some type of, something where she's generating income for them as she becomes an advisor or a consultant to these people. So what she's doing, she's traveling on these other people wanting to know more. So they're paying her for it. It's other people's money. That's exactly what people who are very skillful, all the 1%ers and the 2%, and people that own all the wealth in America, or 90% of the wealth in America, what they're doing is using other people's money. Okay, they're taking that money and they're reinvesting into something bigger.
And so, and I don't want to get us off subject, but you just brought something to mind, to where I heard you talk about, the pursuit to happiness. And so we know that that's not easy. And so in saying that, to where you mentioned all these things, and when we was talking about this lady who likes to travel, on how people want to know where the good winery is in Napa. People want to know where the castles in Germany. So she had to do her homework to provide this information in order to get folks in. We got to call her.
Do it.
They hung up because I seen the red light. Okay, let's try if we can get a caller. Hello, caller. Could you hear us?
Yes, I can.
Who we have the honor to have on the phone with us today?
This is Ray Moore.
Okay.
Calling in to chime in something you just said.
Talk to
about
us.
Other people's money.
Talk to us.
Well, I was talking to my friends recently and just expressed to them, how much we frequent, these different businesses,
Mhm.
like Starbucks or buying products, all these name brands like Nike and whatever the case may be.
Mm-hmm.
Whether your favorite thing, as Marshall mentioned, going to the different wineries, and we like our favorite brands. Well, since we frequent these places and we purchase these products, it would be very beneficial if we bought stock in our favorite brand.
Ooh.
Because then we'd be paying ourselves.
Very nice.
Ooh,
So it's
thank
really
you.
important that if you're purchasing these shoes, buy some stock in these shoes. Instead of buying the shoes, buy the stock so that you be a part owner of the company.
Go, girl.
So that not only
Woo.
when you purchase these items and other people purchase these items, they're putting money back into your financial portfolio.
I hope my investor, he hearing this because you just enlightened me on something. Cause I done finally got smart and I'm doing some investing in things like that. But that makes so much sense since I've been educating myself in that, to where as I get more educated in the stocks that my broker is buying and all that kind of stuff, I need to make sure that I'm purchasing under these same things that I'm invested in. Because now I'm making my own money.
Well,
I'm
that's-
investing in myself.
That's what Warren Buffett does. If you look at his portfolio, he's buying stock and things like that people buy every day. He buys it himself, like the razors, things like that, and all those brands, things that people use every day and that he uses his own self. It just makes more sense to do that. And like Lorraine said, when you're buying stock, you're buying a piece of a business. You're buying a share of the business, and then they pay you what's called a dividend.
Yes.
Every other month.
Mhm.
So they're going to give you 50 cents or 35 cents on every share that you own. Not only on top of that, but it's the capital gains that you also receive.
Mhm.
And if you don't touch it and you just let it, what they call compound on itself, all that money from the dividends, you're not getting a check, even though that belongs to you as a shareholder, but it's being invested back into the stock. So you're buying a little bit more stock every other quarter, or every other quarter that they want to issue you out the money. So you have two different options. You can either take a check for that 35 cents, or you can buy additional shares. And that's what people do. They let those shares compound on itself. So you don't even touch it, you don't even look at it, and pretty soon you own a big significant part of Coca-Cola or Nike or Capital One
Mhm.
credit card. So that credit card, they've taken out the interest from you, from buying. You are now getting paid for just owning that stock. Okay, you see the difference between the two?
Ooh.
So that stock is now paying you just for being an owner, for being a part of a business owner.
Wow. So Lorraine, are you still there? Yeah, we don't want to keep. Is there anything else you want to add while we have you on the phone?
Before I get out of here, I also wanted to mention another important thing. You talked about working a 9 to 5 and how people have these anxiety attacks before they go to work. Well, one thing that I had to do was change my perception about my job. And I had to start using it as a tool in order to transition me out so that I could work for myself full time.
Ooh.
I started my, my own business on the side, but I use my job as a tool to take care of, my basic needs
Mhm.
so that I can transition out. And it's always important to have multiple streams of income to help you do that.
Beautiful.
That's all I wanted to say, so thank you so much.
Woo, Lorraine, thank you very much, and you have a beautiful Friday and a lovely weekend. Thank you for sharing that
Now,
information.
before you hang up, Lorraine, what's your business so people out there could know?
My business is LJM Real Estate Group and also the Credit Boot Camp. I help you fix your credit, get those collections cleaned off, and it should never take you longer than 90 days to do that. And I live with you and at home so that you can become a homeowner.
Woo, are you local?
I am in Sacramento, but I am licensed throughout California.
Okay. Hey, you know what? And I thank Montreal for doing this. If someone out there listening and want to take on your services, how do they get a hold of you if you wanted to share that?
visit Eventbrite. We post our events. We have credit boot camps every other month, and we also do one-on-one personal credit boot camps. You can find us on Eventbrite. Just go to Eventbrite and type in credit boot camp. You can also go to Facebook and find my Facebook page, LJM Real Estate Group.
Okay, we always like to throw that plug out there. So, can we thank you for sharing that information, and because it's valuable and it's true. So, we thank you, and you take care and have a great weekend.
Thank you so much.
Okay, bye bye. Wow, that was awesome, man. See what, man? Gosh, this just make my hair stand up, because this is the stuff when I talk about equipping people's tool belt. And now, as you guys receive this information, it's up to you. When it's time for you to be out there and to pull out that hammer, you are equipped to pull out that hammer. Because as we all know, especially in the carpentry business or any business, you got to have the right tools to be able to do the job proper. So
That's exactly right. And, you know, there was something else that she said. You know, she's using her 9 to 5 as a means to an end.
yes,
Okay, she's not looking at it as that's it.
right.
That's exactly what I think a lot of people, if they want to see things change in their lives, looking at their 9 to 5 as a means to an end.
And with that mentality, you don't feel stuck, because you know that it's not forever. This is only temporary, and that's exactly what I heard from her, as she using it to do what she got to do. Because I think we'll both agree, we're not telling people to just go out there and quit their 9 to 5 job right now today. That would be so wrong. But you gotta, just like Lorraine said, you gotta be looking at other means of income.
Mm-hmm.
You have to, or you're gonna stay stuck. And because ever since you mentioned the whole thing about slavery, all I thought about is my car payments and me, that I don't want to be homeless. So therefore, I know that's what makes me get up and go to work. But if this was my own business, I don't know, when we have our own, we just treat it differently than what we treat other people's stuff. Well, I don't know about other people, I only can speak for myself. I know I treat my own personal stuff way different than I treat other people's stuff.
Mm-hmm.
You appreciate it more. And that was the one thing, being that I know I wasn't born with a silver spoon in my mouth, I appreciate everything that I have, because I know I had to work hard for it. So just think about working hard for your own business.
That's exactly right. Yeah, absolutely.
Because I'm serious, and my wife could tell you, boy, I'm in my room working on mixes way more than I have been in the past, even though I be tired after I come here. But this is something that I know that eventually there's so many avenues that I could earn some income through this passion of me loving to play music.
Well, what if you were to make, say, $200 extra a week?
Exactly.
What if you were to make $100 extra a week? What if it was $500 extra a week?
Exactly.
What if it was 1,000? Right? What if it was just only 50?
Still some extra.
It's still some extra. Let's look at that 50. All right. Let's just look at $50 extra a week. Okay, that's what is that? $200 extra a month. Okay, if you take part of that money, reinvest it. Take part of that money, put it extra on top of your car payment.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, how much sooner would you be able to pay off that car?
Exactly.
You know, without, if you were to put that extra money on top of it.
And that's a good point, because some of us, we don't realize, and I guarantee you, my credit card people are mad at me, because I've grown, and after going through college, we pay our full balance of whatever we use every month. I'm mad when they make an interest off me.
Sure.
But some of us don't know that. You couldn't tell me that in college. You know, they wanted $25 a month. Oh, of course, that's no problem. After you done let me spend several hundreds, all you want is $25 a month for me to pay that. And this is how we get caught up.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
This is how we get caught up.
Well, let me ask you this. Why can't you be your own credit card company?
Right. Exactly.
You know what I mean by that? Like, you don't need the credit card, right? You yourself are making more money and more interest off of investing into yourself, where
Right.
you can start just paying things with cash and
Yeah.
be done with it, okay? Not saying that you don't need credit cards or you don't need credit and things like that. You know, I don't know everybody's financial situation or anything like that. What I am sharing with the world out there is that there's ways that you can be totally free, that you can have options available. Some people feel like they don't have the option, that they have to use credit cards, they have to be in debt. Okay, it doesn't have to work that way. I know what debt feels like.
Yes, indeed.
Okay, so that student loan was a means to an end. Okay, that's the purpose of that debt.
Yes.
Okay, having your house and things like that. So those are different types of debt. Okay, so there's ways that we can kind of work that to our advantage. The credit card debt and things like that, which we don't need. We don't have to carry a balance every month.
That's exactly.
So we want to be free from that. But a lot of times a lot of people are in over their head right now. The way to get out of that is to have 3 incomes coming in through your businesses, because you can't do it just on your 9 to 5, because you're going to continue to be like that horse with the carrot in front of him. On a string.
Hey, is
Right?
is that referring to the more we make, the more we want to spend?
The more we make, the more we want to spend. Exactly. You'll never get that
No,
you're
you
slobbering
never
after
get
it and everything else. You're gonna get that carrot someday. Right? You never will get it.
Oh yes.
Right. The idea behind it is like, instead of being so tunnel vision over this one thing, one carrot, we have to think about taking the blinders off, owning the field, planting our own carrots, and then we can go and pluck whichever one we want when it's ready. Being free from it, okay? Being free. You can never, on that 9 to 5, you'll never be able to truly pay off all the things that you want to pay off in time. By the time you get ready to do that, it'll be 30 years down the road. It's time for retirement, things like that. You're worn out. That cog is worn out, okay? And then you still owe a little bit or maybe you paid it off by then. But why not pay it off early while you're in good health?
Right.
Be able to enjoy your life, going out and travel and do the things that you're truly passionate about, right? And living truly free. Like, wow, taking a deep breath and being like, man, I don't have that burden on top of me anymore. I don't have the creditors calling me or anything.
It's a good feeling, because especially like you said, being there, done that, and once upon a time, every other call is some kind of credit person. To have relief from that, man, it's way less stressful.
Absolutely.
So
well, on this show, we're going to be we're going to expose ourselves. All right, we have to be truthful. We can't hide behind any type of cloak.
Yep.
Okay, like we have it going on, or everything's hunky dory, everything's great,
When it's not.
and it's not. It really isn't. Okay, so when we are truly vulnerable, and we truly know that our financial situation could be better, we can be in a better position, all those different types of things, then we can start to work toward making significant changes, right? So back to that $50 a week thing. Okay, some people see, well, that's not enough money to make any type of real change. It's not.
Whatever.
Okay, I'll tell you what I do. And this is something that a lot of people can do, and then it's not very hard. Saturday morning, I told you about this when we were just starting the 40 Acres and 40 Acres and Mule, and I told you my idea. We were sitting over the poorhouse.
Yep.
Okay. What I choose to do is I go to the library Saturday morning, and then I have I have an app. I'm using that mule, the new mule is the computer. I have an app that scans the books on Amazon, so I can see exactly how much I would make on Amazon. It'll tell me. It'll just pull it up right there. And so that book that I'm buying for 50 cents or 25 cents if it's a special day, or if it's Saturday morning, they're having like a blowout sale or whatever it is, if it's $2 or whatever, it'll show me if that book would sell on Amazon for $10 or $5 or $3, right? If I'm buying it for 50 cents and I'm making $3 off of it, right, it would make financial sense for me to just go ahead and buy that book. And it's not costing me anything just to keep it in the house. But and then there's what's called what is the name of that? Seller's rank. It's called a selling rank. Okay, so you want to go 3 million down. Okay, anything under 3 million of a seller's rank will sell pretty quick. All right, like a month, maybe a couple weeks, maybe a month and a half, or whatever it is. Okay, so if it's below that, you can see how fast that book turns over and if it's pretty popular. All right, so I know that if I buy a book for $3 but it's going to sell within the next couple of weeks, hopefully, then I can make $3. But that $3 times 10 is $30, right? That $3 times that $5 times 10 is 50. Okay, that 10 times 10 is 100. I don't just have that just one $3 book, but now I have a collection of different books that some are worth $30 more, and I paid 50 cents on it. Some are $15, and I paid 50 cents or $2 on it. Some is $100 that I have found. Okay, so it all averages out. Okay, so then right now I'm just keeping an inventory. So that's just one business that's just there. That's what we call passive income. It's just there, sitting there. It's not bothering me. I love some of the books that I'm picking up. I'm a book, I love books anyhow, so I'll read through some of them. When I'm done reading it, somebody wants to buy it. All right, there's some interesting stuff out there. Okay, so that's one avenue. That's one small little business. Then I take that little money that I make off of that, and I invest it. Like sometimes I go to the antique store, then I'll find like carnival glass or something that somebody's interested in. So then I'll take that money that I would get, and I don't want to pay a high price for it. I'll pay $1 for it, but I can sell it for 15, on eBay. So there's different ways of making money out there. You have to have these different incomes. So there's eBay, there's Amazon, and then you can open up your own Shopify store, all these different things. And then, but you have to consider that eBay, Amazon, and then PayPal are going to charge you a percentage.
Right.
So it's around 13% that they charge on top of that. Then you have to consider your materials that you're going to buy. Okay, so all the tape and the book, the packing material and everything else. So it has to be worth it to you to pick up that book. If that book is $2 and it cost you $1.99, then it doesn't make sense to buy it. Okay, so but if that book is $6 or $10 or $15 or $20, right, and the packing material only cost you with all the fees and everything $2.25 or whatever, maybe touching $3 almost.
Right.
Okay, then it makes more sense for you to do that, and you have to consider your time and labor. So that's one avenue, toward meeting your goals. And then you take your money that you're making off of those different things, and then you want to invest in your travel business. All right, you want to invest into your DJing business. So there's one product that you're using. Maybe you want a different mixer board.
Right.
You're upgrading. That'll give you a better sound, better quality. Okay, so then you're using the money that people are paying you for this stuff, other people's money, and then you're reinvesting into yourself. You're taking part of that money, putting it in for a rainy day, because the rainy days will come.
Yes, indeedy.
Right?
Yes,
I'm wondering
indeed.
if people out there know what I'm talking about, rainy days. I'm not talking about, the summer ending and we're getting into fall season. It's winter. Okay? I'm talking about the winter of your life, the fall, or the rain that's coming against your house. And this is something that Jesus taught, right, in his book, in the Bible. In the book of Matthew, I believe it is, where he talked about the two houses, one that was built on sand and then the other one that was built on a solid foundation. And he said this about the two houses. He said that the rains came. He talked about a house that was built on sand. The rains came, the floods came, the winds blew and beat upon that house, and it fell. And he says, great was the fall of it because it was not founded upon a rock. He said there was another house that was built. The rains came, the floods beat against the house, the winds blew, but it fell not because it was founded upon a rock. All right, where's your house built? Is it built on a solid foundation, or is it built on sinking sand? In both cases, it does not stop the laws of nature from happening.
That's right. That's right.
Okay, the tsunamis are coming. So prepare yourself for it. You know, so the things that we're talking about of owning your own business is filled with ups and downs. The hustle game that's involved in it, it's filled with letdowns, setbacks, people taking money from you, possibly, you know, all those different things come along with owning your own business. Losing out on different things. You know, sometimes you think it's a good investment, it may not be the best investment, but the way that you try to avoid all those things is making educated, calculated moves. And even when you do that, it still doesn't change the fact that things happen.
Exactly.
That's just the way it is.
That's true.
You can't let that get in the way of you meeting your goals. All right. And then on top of that, you have to think about, just like what I was just saying, life circumstances. Okay. I'm dealing with sciatic nerve pain right now. You know, that's just something that comes along with getting older, and you know, whatever it may be. Painful thing. All right. But I have to maneuver. I have to keep going. You know, it doesn't stop. All right, it doesn't stop. I have to keep moving forward. I have to keep taking better care of myself, you know, and thinking things a little bit different. I can't do the same things I did when I was 18 and 20 years old.
Exactly.
Right? So that's part of life. That's what, you know, Jesus talked about it, and Mahatma Buddha and all those different great thinkers. You know, Christ is more prominent in my life personally, but all these other great thinkers who have come along to teach great teachings about how life works, you know, to give us avenues of being successful and moving forward with our lives. All right. Bruce Lee said you have to be like water. It's the art of fighting without fighting. That's what he said. Okay. So we have a few more minutes. Yeah, we got.
Yeah, we're not in a rush
We
today.
good?
I didn't double book. I'm just worried about this running out, so I can make
Okay.
sure we capture it all this interview. So,
Awesome.
Yeah, no, we good.
Oh,
We good.
beautiful. Okay, so we did talk about that. Covered a whole lot.
Yeah.
So what I want to kind of go over is we have. Let's take a look at who's here. Sandra Branson.
Hey, how you doing, Sandra?
Sandra
Thank you for
Branson.
tuning in and
Thank you
checking
for
us
tuning
out.
in. Yeah. Give us a thumbs up. We're asking all those folks out there to smash that like
I
button.
love that, man. From any of my shows that I do on Facebook now, it will be smash that like button. I just got that one for you. You don't mind if I steal that one from you?
Take it, brother.
Borrow it all. Say, well, I'm not. We don't steal. We
It's all
borrow.
good. Absolutely. So let's look at a couple more things here. So we have different avenues for you to, you know, I wrote down here the real reparation is the revenue you receive from putting your passion to work for you through the World Wide Web. Your business can grow exponentially. There is no limitations. So one of the things that one of our callers brought up was she was on Facebook.
Yeah.
Right? So that's one avenue. We have Facebook Live here. So this is us promoting ourselves. You know, if there's people out there that are looking for a DJ for weddings, Mr. Bobby Jones, he's a great DJ, and he's very passionate about what he does. He listens to his to the people that are wanting to hire him, you know, and he will do great work for you. So that's part of it right there, is
Exactly.
using that avenue. So this goes out to everyone. Okay, so Facebook is another way of doing it. Being a blogger, okay, so if you want to write about gardening, if you want to write about traveling, okay, start using that blog. And I haven't really understood the way that they make money off of that, but I know that there's a lot of people out there that make a really, really good income.
Yes.
If someone out there is a blogger and they know about blogging, go ahead and call in.
Yeah.
All right, and let us know.
Chime in
how
on
that happens.
Facebook and we'll read it. But
Yeah.
yeah, that number 530-532-8854. Just share the wealth, share the love, because yeah, it is what it is.
Instagram is a big one, right? Twitter, and then having your podcast. I have my podcast that I put out, and that's another way of you getting out there, people knowing who you are, knowing your voice. And this is, excuse me, this is what Gary Vaynerchuk said, is that there's never been a time in history where you have the opportunity to be your own show, to be your own media, to go out there and do the things that you want to do. Before, you would have to pay thousands and thousands of dollars, right, to be on TV. You have to go through this process of being an actor or an actress. But now you can have your own YouTube channel, you know, and being able to put yourself out there and have a certain following.
You know some Montreal, and folks might want to get in while the getting is good, because I can recall I was at another different radio station doing a program, and they used to have this one internet web outlet to where it was free. And since being over here, I tried to go through that same streaming, and now they charge. There's a monthly fee to stream live through their process. So sooner or later, you know, hopefully this don't happen, but things like Instagram and Facebook, you know, they might have certain free things to be able to do, but the part that people could make money, they gonna want they cut out of it. So it's just, we just gotta be mindful of these things where the time is now.
The time is now. So, you know, one of the things, and that's a great point, you know, that's something we brought up before, is we don't know when things will change the way that they are. You know, the government may take down YouTube, you know.
Exactly.
Hopefully that does not change. Hopefully that doesn't happen. You know, different big corporations may change the way that they start to, you know, to put fees onto people where it may not be affordable for you to do the book thing. You know, but right now it is.
Right, exactly.
Okay, you know, so we have to be mindful of that, taking advantage of the opportunities in a legal way. You know, all this stuff that we're talking about now is legal, and it's out there for you. You know, this is the greatest, what I believe, the greatest country in the world for you to be able to go out and to live your dreams. And we did talk about life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, what that truly meant for our founding fathers, you know, Ben Franklin and Washington, you know, John Quincy Adams, and all these other great men, you know, who went forth to achieve their dreams, and they had this idea. And I believe that the Constitution, when I did look at it, you know, I believe that it transcended just the words that were on that piece of paper there. I believe that it was something that is very you know, supernatural about it, that involved a whole race of people, of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness.
And one thing I just wanted to add about, you know, how we talked about the game doesn't change, it's just the rules. And that's what we're talking about. We never know if the government will put some kind of regulation on some of the social media outlets that's out there. So, you know, we got to get where the getting is good, because you know, the hustle game gonna stay the same, but like I say, the rules change.
The rules change. You know, Amazon just put on new fees, storage fees on their books. So people who are using Amazon, and I'm small. I'm totally like I'm hardly on the radar of Amazon books because there are people out there that do pallets of books a day. Pallets of books, and they make millions of dollars doing it. Pallets of books. Just think about that. Right? And they have trucks to come and then pick up their books and take it to Amazon, right? And so in Amazon they have, I think it's Amazon Prime, I can't remember exactly what it is, but anyhow, they have it where they store the books away, okay, and then when someone has an order, they will, people at Amazon, they have the people come in, and then they will ship the book out, and they will take care of customer service and everything else, right? It used to be pretty cheap to do that. But now Amazon is looking at all, you know, the whole aspect of it, right? And how much it's costing them and things like that, and how much more, maybe a little bit more money they can make off of it. They change the fees.
See?
So now anything after, I believe it's 6 months, if it stays there, the fees go up.
See?
The storage fees go up. Now it's not even, it wouldn't be that profitable for you to have a bunch of books to stay in there for a year or whatever. If it's in there for a year before, you're not worried about it. Why? Because you're getting this huge amount of money that's coming in every month. You're not even thinking about that year book.
Exactly.
You know, the book that's been in there for a year, you're thinking about, you know, you're making a great income.
And those are the things that you have to consider and pay attention to as well. And hopefully people would, because this is your own business that you in control of.
That's exactly right. You know, you have to learn everything that there is to know about your own business. It just makes more financial sense. It makes total sense for you to be very knowledgeable of those things. One of the things that I really admire, if you ever get a chance, this is something else that I would like for folks to, their homework assignment. So they wrote down OPM is other people's money. Other thing, we're going to do some YouTube history search and documentaries, and I'm going to tell you a few of them. Okay, so if you're ready out there, have your pen and paper ready. This is something else we're going to look up. All right, this is the history of money. The history of money. It's an older series. Great documentary on the whole history of money. You'll start to get a greater understanding of it. Okay, the history of money. The other thing that I want them out there to look up on YouTube, the other documentary, is John D. Rockefeller. John D. Rockefeller. There's another documentary out there. Well, it was a series. It was a really good series. It was called The Men Who Built America. That's another great one. I mean, I enjoyed it. I think it's very entertaining, but it talked about Andrew Carnegie, Mr. Vanderbilt, John Rockefeller, Henry Ford. These were pioneers who started off the Industrial Revolution.
Yes, sir.
John Rockefeller, all these men, you can get a good business sense by looking at how successful businessmen ran their business. Okay, that doesn't mean you have to be a scoundrel to do it. You don't have to be that way. I'm not saying that any of their methods were great. But what I did admire about these men was the fact that let me take John Rockefeller, for example. He grew up in a home that was mixed in terms of some of the thoughts and philosophies. So his mother was a staunch Baptist, whereas his father was a crook. They called him Devil Bill, okay, because he just ripped people off. He was a snake oil salesman. So he had both sides of that, those equations. Okay, so his mother was a philanthropist. Okay, she was very adamant about him giving back to the community. Devil Bill, before he left the house, he had another family and things like that. But he took change out of young John D. Rockefeller's little cup, and he says, "Don't trust no one, okay, not even your own dad." So that was part of his philosophy, and then so he grew up counting every penny. He grew up learning everything. He was very meticulous about the books and things like that. So he wanted to know everything there was to know about the oil refining business, even before he became a successful businessman. So he was he knew everything there was to know about what it is to be oil. He saw a great waste that was happening. When people drilled for oil and the oil derricks would spill over, all that oil would just go back into the land, and that land would be uninhabitable. So he saw this waste that was happening, and then he started to take advantage of the waste, right? Things like that. And he started to own different parts of the oil industry. And so that's where he came up with Standard Oil.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So anyhow, all these men, from Carnegie, to Vanderbilt, all these different men were very meticulous about the business, and they studied it to a T. That it was theirs. They own it. It was their baby. Okay. So when you're out there and when you're passionate about traveling, we use that example, or DJing, or whatever it may be, you should learn everything there is to know about it.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Right? Doesn't that make some sense to do that?
Total sense.
We can't be lazy and expect us to be successul by putting in a couple of hours.
That doesn't work.
No, it doesn't work that way. You're really you're wasting your time. Okay, so the time that we put in, I can't tell you how much time I put in just to get the private practice up and going. I can't count the hours because it's from the time that I wake up until way into midnight hours, and sometimes early until 4 o'clock in the morning. So those are the things that we have to consider when we're operating our own business. It's the time and labor that's involved in it. But this is the beauty of it, is that all of the effort that you put into your own business, and all of the time that you put into it, I think there's a significant correlation between the time you put into your own business and to the success of that business. All right, I think there's a strong correlation with that. It will come back to you exponentially. It will, but it's going to take some time. And that's what we talked about last week, was the hustle and the grind.
Yes, sir.
The pursuit of happiness, that pursuit is digging in the dirt. All right?
It really is. We have to really understand that. To where if there wasn't a message behind that, it wouldn't have been that word put in there. We have to understand that. Pursue what it is. What does it mean to pursue something?
Yeah, so there's another word in Greek. It's called dioko, something like that. Dioko means, it's a biblical word, but it means, it's what the Apostle Paul used. He said that when he said, I press toward the mark of the prize of the high calling. And so, this was after his conversion on the road to Damascus. That he talked about this word pressing. That press means everything that's within him. Every fiber of his body is pressing forward, is reaching out to that prize, that thing that has drawn him. Okay? That's what we're talking about. That pursuit is the passion, the desire, everything in you that wants to achieve success. If you truly want it in this country, if you truly want it, you can have it. But it's going to take you to be able to want to put forth the effort and the desire to achieving that goal. That nothing, no matter what comes your way, is going to stop you from getting it.
Exactly.
Right?
I agree.
Now, if you let the little things get in your way, or the big things, whether it's health, whether it's people talking about you, whether it's your own hang-ups, whether it's bills and things like that, whether it's family issues coming up, if you let those things get in your way, it's going to take you that much longer to get it.
Yes.
Okay? It's just going to stumble you. You can't let that stuff stop you from reaching your goal. Because it's going to happen. There's always going to be something that someone is going to say. There's always going to be something that's going to come up, whatever it may be. Some person that's going to get on your nerves.
That is so true, man. God, that is just so true. It is. It's always going to be something.
It really is, but it doesn't stop the
Right.
game from going. The game
Right.
is still going to go no matter what. Okay? The world itself, the world is going to turn. It's been turning for billions of years. The universe has been going on. You think the universe is going to just stop? The earth is going to stop because you're going through your hardship? It's going to stop everything in nature. It's going to say, hold up. Montreal's going through some hard times. We're going to stop the sun. We're going to stop the moon from going. Hold on a second. Let's wait just a moment here. All right? We'll wait for him to get over his stuff, and then we'll start everything back up again.
I'll say this: if you believe that, I got some property that I want to sell. But that's how serious. It's not. It's not gonna just stop because I gotta go pity me or whatever. The world is not gonna stop and wait for you to recover from that.
Well, think about this. Think about the time that this senator here that I brought up, John Conragers Jr. from 1989 to 2017 has been pushing for reparations, right? How many people have died between 1989 to 2017 that was hoping to get something,
That's true.
that never achieved their goals, that never achieved the things that they wanted to do, that was just waiting around for it? How many people do you think may have died during that period of time? Death is inevitable. It's something that we cannot get around. I don't like thinking about it myself, but I'm not thinking about it 100% of the time because I'm too busy thinking about business and
Right.
thinking about helping other people, living my own dreams.
Exactly.
Opening, with God's blessing, Him opening up doors and me stepping through that door.
Yes, sir.
That's what I'm thinking and focusing on. So when people struggle with different issues, such as, that's the other thing that we have to really drive home, is that a lot of people feel that if they pray super hard for it, that God is going to drop it out of the sky. He's gonna do that. Let me tell you, and I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but I kind of am. I have not read that in biblical history, and I don't think it's not logical for anyone to really believe those things. And I'm not knocking anyone's faith or anything like that. This is no reflection of the African American Family Cultural Center. This is Montrell Jamari talking to you. Is I believe that God himself, he opens up doors for you to walk through. It's up to you to walk through those doors. It's up to you to put forth the effort. All right? Let that sink in. Jesus said this. He said when he was getting ready to face Calvary, right? He was getting ready to die. And a lot of people may have different faiths out there. This is one that I kind of can relate to, and I can kind of share my own thoughts and opinions about. Right, and we can talk about Buddhism and things like that too when that time comes, and I do share some of those things from time to time. Great philosophers, but in this case, this is what Christ was saying. He was there in the Garden of Gethsemane. Satan was tempting him there. He asked his disciples. This was it. This was him getting ready to face death, right? Being separated from the Father. He said to his disciples, pray with me this 1 hour. I just give me that love, that comfort. They fell asleep on him. Okay? People that were supportive, they seen him walk on water. They seen him raise the dead. They seen him heal people, everything else. And he asked them, this is the time. He said, this is the moment now, right now, that I need you. And then he looked around, and all of them were sleep, right? So he went into Garden of Gethsemane and started praying, and the Bible goes on to say that he began to sweat as if it were great drops of blood coming down from his face, right? So here he is by himself, and then he prays this prayer. He says, Father, if it is possible, let this bitter cup pass. If it's possible, let this bitter cup pass. He said, nevertheless, not my will, but let your will be done. That's what he had to come to. You got what I'm saying?
Yes.
Did that bitter cup pass? Did God step out of the sky and come down to Jesus and say, hey, you know what? You're praying really hard. You're my son. You don't have to die on the cross. Did that happen? No. And that's how God answers us a lot of times is yes, no, and wait. Yes, no, and wait, right? Because if it's yes, it's yes. If it's no, it's no. If it's wait, you're going to figure it out yourself. And that's what he had to come to. Christ had to come to. Nevertheless, not my will. He prayed that prayer 3 times. Not my will, but let your will be done. Same thing with Apostle Paul. Thorn in the flesh. Pray to God, take it away from him. He said on the 3rd time, the voice of God came to him. He said, my grace is sufficient for you. I heard you the first 2 times. He said, my grace is sufficient for you. My strength is made perfect in your weakness. And then Paul came to the conclusion, he says, well, then I'll glory in my own infirmity. In other words, I'll take pride in this thing that I have to keep me humble. All right? God used that thing. This is the thing that we have to realize. When we're seeking out business and our own purpose and drive in life and our own destiny and what we're called to truly do, is that it does not come easy. Just because we pray for God to answer certain prayers for us, and we're hoping, we believe that we're a good person, we did everything that we needed to do, that it's going to work out 100% of the time, and God's going to delay us from ever experiencing heartache and pain. Doesn't happen. Matter of fact, you can expect more heartache and pain because you're praying.
It seems like it happens that way.
Right?
Serious. It seems like it happens that way.
You know, we have to really understand this, Brother Bobby, is that, you know, those things that come into our lives that seem to be really hard and difficult and challenging, it's to make us, right? And that's what one of the prophets said, that when we go through the fire, we shall come out like pure gold. But you're not the refiner's fire. Have you ever seen a refiner's fire,
Yeah.
where they open up that
No.
oven to that door, that heat blows you backwards.
Exactly.
You need a tool to stick some metal in there. You can't just go walk up to it. He said that when we come out of there, that type of fire, we can come out as pure gold. So when we're looking at this thing, and I've experienced some hardship, I'm telling you, like, I'm just not a therapist, just went through the master's program, got the degree, and then opened up shop. I had to go through some stuff.
Yes.
Okay? And there's a lot of different things. Now I can be able to talk with people who have experienced loss, people who have went through hardship and pain and all kinds of different things. The folks that we're talking about in our lesson of New 40 Acres and a Mule, we're talking about the enslaved Africans. Those folks coming out of slavery experienced hardship. And when they were set free, right, they weren't like the house Negro just wanting to stick around.
Right.
Those folks that was out in
Out
the
there.
fields, they took that
I'm
hoe,
outta here.
and look, they took the hoe and that shovel, they snapped it over their knees, threw it over their shoulders. I'm getting out of this. Get out of here, right?
Exactly.
They wanted freedom. They wanted to experience freedom. They knew what the heat was like. They knew what picking in the hard dirt was like. They prayed and they did everything else, but it wasn't until 400 years later that they experienced true freedom. And we are the descendants of that. And that's something that we have to understand about the way the world works, is that you can never surpass it. You can't get around it. Hardship. Now, there's different types of hardship.
Exactly.
Okay? There's a hardship we bring on ourselves, and then there's a hardship that just comes with life.
Mm-hmm.
All the business in the world cannot deter you from different things, sickness and disease and all kinds of other stuff. All right, that's just a part of life. We can do things to try to circumvent that for eating healthy and exercising, things like that. But the point being is that pain is a part of life, no matter how rich you are.
I agree.
Okay, but we want to not bring on ourselves unnecessary pain and struggle. We want to be free. Okay, that's the whole idea behind the New 40 Acres and a Mule is true freedom. All right, and to be able to experience that and put everything in its proper perspective. Life, liberty, the pursuit of happiness. Okay, that's something that we really have to take into consideration when we're looking at it. Mr. Warren Kyle Jensen, thank you for tuning in. We certainly appreciate you. Okay, we are coming to a close, I think.
That's up to you.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay, why don't we do a station identification and we'll do a little bit more here.
Sounds like a plan. How about we do this guy here? We'll let him kind of. Whoa. Now things want to freeze. You're listening to KOYO.
KOYO LP Orville.
He scared me there. The opinions voiced on this program do not necessarily reflect the views or opinions of KOYO, its staff, volunteers, board of directors, or its underwriters. Yes, thank you for that. So we're back. We're ready.
So one of the things that, well, let me give this out there. If you want to meet with me,
Yes.
do you mind if I do that?
No, yeah, that's perfect.
Okay.
We should have been doing it a couple of times by now.
All right, awesome. If you're needing issues with anxiety, depression, or anything like that, you can see me. You can give me a call, 1-800-895-6926. It's 1-800-895-6926. I have my office in Chico. We can meet one-on-one, see if we're a good fit. You can also email me at mvjinner strength, strength, coaching @gmail.com. You can look at the free Podbean or podcast at Podbean, PODBEAN. Type in MVJ Inner Strength Coaching, and then you'll find free to the world relationship advice. Okay, so we certainly thank you again. If you have kids out there in this community, AAFCC has great programs here for the youth. We want you to take advantage of the great program, and also for adults too.
Yes.
Brother Bobby is doing a great job here, and maybe you can want to chime in on some.
Well, I
more
just
things.
want to let people know if anybody have any children out there, young adults interested in dancing, our dance class, Dance Diverse, is happening right now, and it goes from 2:30 to 4:30 every Friday, as well as followed by our sisterhood women's group, which is from 5:30 until 7 p.m.
Awesome. Okay, so let's do a little bit more talking here. We're kind of what we're making it a little bit more, giving you a little bit more time with our radio station. I think last week we kind of we had some. Mr. Doug Lamoff was here, and so we were wanting to add a few things here and there. So we're going to add part of last week into this week.
Okay.
It's number 8. Number 8. We're going down our list
Gotcha.
here. Okay. If anyone out there is, I'm going to put together a new 40 Acres and New Mule book. So once that is completed, then we'll, I'll make that available to the public.
Yes, sir.
And I truly recommend it. There was one person that I kind of listened to now and then. His name is Coach Corey Wayne, and he talks about relationships. He's on YouTube. Just goes through different things that are involved with relationship issues. One of the things that he says concerning his book, he says, and so the people write in and they talk about certain things and say, hey, I read your book once and it's a great book and I see all these changes in my relationship and everything, but gosh, she's just not talking to me anymore, and she's kind of shutting me out. And he says this to him. He says, I can totally tell by the way that you're talking right now that you didn't read the book 10 to 15 times. Right? Because you're not going to get it just once.
Yes, exactly.
Okay, so the material that we're covering today, Brother Bobby and myself, is something you just can't go through just once. There's just so much that's involved in it. And so take all the meat of this material and use it. I given the homework assignment about OPM, other people's money. We talked about the history of money. We talked about some of the documentaries as far as John D. Rockefeller, Andrew Carnegie, and Van der Waals. So look up those different individuals, but from there, there's all types of motivational speeches that are available. Beautiful speeches. There was one from a Navy SEAL. Like an admiral or something like that, but he talked about different things that is really relevant today. Learning how to make the power of learning to make up your bed properly. Different things and how that relates to life. When they would say that make them take the sheets off the bed and do it over again. What that truly meant to him. So there's different things out there for us to learn that other people have experienced. That we can truly add to who we are and add to our passions in life. So that's really, really important. Okay, so you won't get everything 100% in these lessons just going through it just once. It takes for you repetitiveness. You can go onto the website and look up, the different past issues, a past series of this new 40 Acres and New Mule. All right, number 8, we're talking about the power of now. What does that truly mean? Talked a little bit about it. We touched on it earlier. I put in quotes here. Some things that I say often is don't sleep on your dreams. Don't sleep on your dreams. So the now that happens, this is something that we have to be doing constantly. We can't wait to another day for it to happen because we don't know if that day is going to get here or not. Right? I've been looking at the internet and just looking at how many people pass away at a young age, at 39, 42, not making it to retirement age. So when is that now going to happen? And this is something that a lot of people really struggle with. right? A lot of people think that in the future they'll be able, once I retire, I'll be able to travel the world. I'll be able to, do the things that I truly want to do. Now, how do you know that that's going to happen?
Right.
You know,
Don't.
you don't know, right? You knew a whole lot of young brothers in this neighborhood who didn't make it, from last year to this year.
Exactly.
Young,
Yeah.
they're not old. One brother just recently passed, who I grew up, we grew up together. He was older than I was, but we looked up to him, and he passed away. He's gone, and it happened pretty quick, those type of things. And before you know it, this is what Job said, that life is like a spark in the night sky. It's like when you're looking up into the heavens and you see the sparks that fly up there. It's there for a moment and then it phases out.
Mhm.
And that's what life is like. He's also said that it's like a vapor. When we're looking at a vapor, we can see it. We see it, how it fizzes up, but then it's gone. So the power of now is so important for us to really take into account when we're looking at achieving dreams and goals and things like that. There should be a list of short-term and long-term goals that we have. So that's something else I want the listeners out there to do, is to prepare your short and long-term goals. All right, so let's write that down. Short and long-term goals. What are your short-term goals and what are your long-term goals? Now, on that same piece of paper where we have all of our notes, we want to put what's our daily goals? What are our daily goals? So each one of these different categories, we should be chipping away at it and have it fulfilled. Okay. So is my daily goal to write? Because for me it was this new 40 Acres and New Mule. So that was yesterday.
Mhm.
To recap about what I'm going to talk about today. A lot of times, for myself, I have all these different notes in front of me, but a lot of times I'm so a part of it that it's like second nature to me, so I can just kind of touch on certain things, because I have all kinds of stuff on these notes, but a lot of times I don't touch on it, because it's already inside of me, and this is like something that we talked about earlier, about knowing everything there is to know about it.
Right.
Okay,
Exactly.
so these are like the really key factors that we want to understand when it comes to achieving goals and desires and things to that nature. So the other thing, there was a saying that my grandfather used to say, as far as like leadership and things to that nature. He used to say that a leader without followers is just a man taking a walk. Right.
I like that.
A leader without followers is just a man taking a walk. Okay.
Wow.
And so, in order to get people to truly follow and to be passionate about the things that you're passionate about, you're going to have something to give them. Right? And part of that something to give them is your short-term, is involving your short-term and long-term goals. They want to see what it is that you are passionate about and how you plan on achieving those things. And this is the quality of good leaders. This is the quality of good business practice. Now, for the men out there who are married or who are in a relationship, every good relationship that I have coached or I have did therapy with and counseling with, the ones that are failed or the ones that seem to struggle are the ones where there is no true leadership within the relationship. Okay. In terms of, now I'm not saying, I know that there's a lot of different types of relationships that are out there. The ones that I'm talking about in particular are the ones where the woman is looking for an alpha male in the relationship. An alpha male is someone that is going after his dreams, his desires. He is fervent about it. He has a plan, a good plan. He's protecting his family, things of that nature. All those things that go into it. He's the captain of the ship. So people who are in that particular family have a sense of of comfort. Okay, they have a sense of comfort in knowing that he's going to take care of everything. All right. When people who are in a relationship where they're struggling with this power issue, is because that male is taking on beta male qualities. He's weak. He's needy. He doesn't have a plan. He's relying on his woman to make the plans for him. Okay, to take care of different things. If the bills need to be paid, he's relying on her to do it. He doesn't have any real plans, things like that. Right? That's the beta male.
Yes.
In society, in the world of in the animal kingdom, the ones that mate with the alpha female are the alpha males. They are not the beta males. Okay, look at it. With primates, and you look at it with lions. Okay, so those things are really important to really understand. Is that true leadership skills, whether it's in a relationship, whether it's in the business world, whether it's out there in your community, you have to have a plan. You have to have your short-term goals and your long-term goals. So that's really important to do. Excuse me. Okay, so one of the things that we want to understand is like everyone who is truly successful out there and who want their own business and things like that, you have to have what's called branding. Okay, so that's part of your short-term and long-term goals. Your short-term goals should be on what it is that you are putting out there. Okay, your brand is, for instance, when I say Nike, what are some of the things that you think about, right?
Check mark or whatever they call it.
Yeah, the swoosh sign. Yeah.
Okay.
Yep, that's their mark, right? That's their symbol. The words "just do it."
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so all those different things are part of the Nike brand. Okay, when you think of Michael Jordan or Air Jordans, there's a certain feel, there's a certain thing about it. You see that jump man, on the tongue, and when there's a fake Jordans and real Jordans, because that jump man doesn't quite look the same. He's kind of skinny. Yeah, he don't quite look right.
A stick man.
It's a stick man on that time. I don't want those. Okay. But when you can see that there's a certain type of quality that's behind it. Okay. So when we're looking at branding ourselves, there's a certain quality behind. And people can argue the fact, well, it doesn't matter what you look like and things like that. To a certain extent, that's true. But the way the brain works is people judge you by your appearance automatically.
So true.
Right? Don't you think so, bro?
So true.
Yeah.
So true. So true. It's funny, and I'll just share a quick story here, to where I notice when I'm out and I go to supermarkets, dressed like this versus just regular clothes, more people, especially older people, will acknowledge me versus if I just have on some sweats or anything like that. So you're right. That first appearance, that first sight, people they'll judge you, to where I know if I had on probably a baseball cap and had it all tilted to the side and pants hanging off, people would look at me different compared to having on a tie. So we have to be aware of that as well.
Yeah. It's really important. I think this is what a lot of young people, I'm hoping that as they're listening in with this new 40 Acres, that's a big part of it, is your brand, who you are as a person. When you think of some of the great players, basketball players, the people that I'm attracted to after they play the game, like Russell Westbrook, the brother is sharp every time I see him afterwards, or he has his own style.
Yeah, exactly.
And LeBron James, he has his own style.
The Wade, all them dudes, they got their own little, you're absolutely correct.
Right.
They have their own little style.
It's nice to look at that, and when I'm on a date with my lady here, when we go out, I like looking nice, because other people pick up on that around us. There's a certain type of feel.
Yep.
She appreciates that, and that's the first thing that a lot of women do is, when you're talking to them, they're gonna look down at your shoes. And see what I know that might be controversial, I guess, but I think that's kind of stands true. The women that I've talked to, they think that's pretty important, because it says a lot about how you care about your own self.
Right,
You
exactly.
know, my mother used to teach that to me when I was a kid, and even in church. Good Lord, I mean, you know, she always kept us with Vaseline on our face and greased
Yes,
up,
sir.
right?
Yes, sir.
I had
Yes,
a part
sir.
in my head and a little suit on,
Yes.
right? You know, those are things that are important because it's a reflection of your family.
Yes, sir.
You know, even if you didn't have a lot of money, which my family, you know, my grandfather and you know, different ones, when they were younger, they didn't have a whole lot of money, but they kept themselves looking good,
Right.
clean, you know, as best they can. You know, so those things are a real reflection. My granddad to this day is very sharp. My uncle too. You know, I learned a lot from them just by looking at them. You know?
And that's how my dad was, especially dealing with us boys. You didn't want to comb your hair, he had something for it. Take us to the barber shop and cut it all off.
Mhm.
And that's what made us, when we wanted to grow our hair out, we knew to keep it combed.
Mhm.
Because we knew if dad seen us and it wasn't combed or looking good, okay, let's go.
Mhm.
Number one clipper, cut
Mhm.
it all off. So these are the things that we're not doing, especially in the African American family.
Oh, yeah.
We're not doing that stuff anymore,
Mhm.
man. It's just, you know, and I know it's to each his own, and the opinions voiced on this program do not necessarily reflect the views or opinions of KOYO, its staff, volunteers, board of directors, and I guess it's just a fad or the style that comes out, but there's people nowadays that feel that it's fly not to comb your hair.
Mhm.
I'm like I said, maybe just getting older or whatever, but I could never walk out the house without my hair being combed, and like you're saying, Vaseline and,
Mhm.
you know, ashy skin was a no-no in my household.
Well, you know, you think about that. You know, this is a really good topic. I really love talking about this type of thing. I agree with you. Like when you go out to even to the grocery store, you think you can say, okay, you know, I'm gonna throw on these sweats, I'm gonna throw on this, and just kind of go to the store. And people look at that, you know,
man.
they really do, and it's like you can't expect folks to treat you with high respect, you know, and at you know going to the grocery store and get offended by that when they don't, when you're not, you know, dressed nice at least, you know, coming out the house.
They're called pajamas for a reason. It's for bedtime, not to go. I don't care if it's just to run down to the market. I don't know, man. It's
Well, you do know, bro. That's why you're saying it, right? You know, it's a certain thing. It's how you
It's just-
carry yourself,
I swear.
right? It's the branding behind it. You know, like who.
It really is, man.
So would you take me serious? Would you take me serious if I, you know, if I just came in, you know, my shirt kind of half, you know, not washed, my jeans not clean, or the slacks not really clean, you know, and then I'm talking about all these different concepts. No matter how good that concept is, you know, people truly look at that. They won't take
Right.
you totally
Exactly,
serious,
man.
right? But if you're dressed, you know, in a way that kind of reflects the things that you're talking about, you know, this is the subtle things that a lot of people, younger folks especially, don't quite understand. Is that when you look back in history, like people that were in the Harlem Renaissance, for instance, right? Those folks were 20 years old, 22 years old. They were immaculate when they went out the house. You know,
Yeah.
when you look at the big band leaders,
The zoot suits,
the
and
zoot
all.
suits and all of that, they were sharp. And you look for a fight if someone tells you ain't sharp,
Exactly.
right?
That's something that could get a fight to start. If you trying to tell somebody you don't look good, it was, yeah. It's just,
There's a certain pride behind it, right?
it really is.
You know, so like when you're looking at those different, where I brought up Aletha Walker, who was very prominent. She was the first known black female millionaire, right? Owned two houses, one on the Hudson and then one that was on, it was a different street. I think it was 162nd Street. I can't exactly remember, but she used to entertain the president from Liberia at her house, you know.
Wow.
And so, but she was a young woman, you know, and her mother was a seamstress, so it would be an insult to her mother's legacy if she didn't keep herself and present herself in a manner that reflected her own business.
Mhm.
You know, now I'm not saying that you have to go out there and dress in three-piece suits and things like that, but I think there is a certain type of pride that comes along with the way that you look. There's a person I listen to on YouTube, there's a lot of them, but Alpha M, he's another great person. He gives you free tips of how to like look better in the morning. You know, it's not difficult. You know, Alpha M, he started off learning some of these things on his own and struggling through it, you know, and then he built up his own business, his own brand and things like that. But really down to earth guy. And then there's a lot of men out there, and this is something else, Bonnie, is that there's a lot of young men that I'm counseling right now that have never been taught this, never been taught it. Nobody's showed them, but they want to know, right? They're just trying to figure it out on their own. You know, we used to have people who were the elders and things like that would kind of guide people in a way, you know, to teach them like the little particulars about how you look and how you go out. But I haven't seen it as much today as it used to be. You know, I haven't seen that, and so there's a lot of people that are struggling with that, you know, whole thing.
It's funny that you mentioned that, and I'm hoping my staff is actually listening to this, because we just had a conversation about the elders teaching it, and to use a better word, it was like the rites of passage.
The rites of passage, yes, that's exactly right.
You see what I mean?
Absolutely.
And we don't have that anymore until now. We can be implementing that here back at the center, but you hit exactly. We just don't have that happening anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So,
well, the rites of passage was designed for a young man to move from being a boy
to a man.
To a man. It was their stamp of approval.
Mm.
That's what that was meant for. And the Maasai tribe, they had to kill a lion. That was way back when. You know, you weren't truly a man until you killed a lion.
I remember here, yeah.
Okay, so that was part of their. I'm not saying that was right or anything. That's not my place to do that. You know, there's different cultures have different types of ways of expressing their rites of passage.
And we look at society to where, and this actually came up today because I'm kind of sharing some other folks' words, but we look at the rites of passage in America is, say, the age turning 21, being able to go to the bar and drink. But what is that really getting us? It's not really teaching us anything.
It's not. No, I think a lot of times, and this is my opinion too, I think a lot of times what we're doing to people by not giving them proper guidance when they're younger, men and women, and all across the board as far as race is concerned, whether you're white, black, or whatever, is not giving them clear direction, not giving your children clear direction, and being that person to guide them, right, and to show them what to do and what not to do. Children truly long for that. They long to know that someone's in charge. But when you're just friends, or when you guys are even and coming along, and you can't really discipline your child, you can't really tell them what's right, what's wrong, you know, or things like that, and that child is left to their own devices, you know, and you just you're nonchalant about it, you can expect a problem. And that's what a lot of times people have experience. They have problems with the children because the kids want to know that you are in charge. You're the parent. That doesn't mean you know, being ruling your house with an iron fist.
Right, exactly.
You know, being Hitler over here with your family. That is not what we're talking about. But having set rules, teaching them the rights and wrongs, teaching them social standards, teaching them things that will get them further along in life, like these little bitty things that we're talking about that are very huge. You know, about if you were to take two men, I've seen some really good looking young men, really good looking young women that it's masked by just the way, and they could be highly intelligent, but just the way that they're presenting themselves, right? There was an old Bill Cosby, you remember the Cosby Show way back in the day, right? So there was the Cosby Show where I believe it was Vanessa, she brought home her new boyfriend. And so they were talking, and Bill was there, and he said to her that the way that she presented it was very, very nice. He said to her, long story short, "What kind of food do you like?" She said, "Oh, I like steak, and I like this, and I like salad with the steak and everything." He says, "Okay, so we're gonna make a steak together. We're gonna make these potatoes, and we're gonna have some salad and everything else." And he says, "What else do you like on the steak?" He said, "Well," she said, "I like a little salt, a little pepper on it, you know." He said, "Do you like steak sauce?" "Yeah." "All right." So we had steak sauce. And so he said, "I'm going to make all this for you. And I'm going to get a garbage can lid, and then I'm going to put it on top of that and serve it to you." Right? It's you know, it's not, it's the way that you present it.
Yep.
Right? All the qualities are there. We have men and women who have young men and women have great qualities. It just hasn't been polished out or anything like that, but it's how it's being presented out there in public. Okay? The way that we present ourselves, the way that we are our language that we're using out there in public. Do you think it's proper, you know, to use profanity out there? This is my own personal moral, but this is what I see that gets in a lot of young people's way. You know, to use profanity out there, use the N-word out there in public where everybody can hear it, where all of our ancestors have died for us to be free, you know, and they just use it whenever, in front of anybody, right? They feel comfortable with it, or just the way that they're being presented. You know, and I'm not beating on anybody like that. I'm not trying to put that in a bad light. But if we're talking about truly wanting to accomplish some of the things that we want to accomplish in our lives and having our goals and our dreams met, part of it is these things, you know, that really can set us apart from anybody else, right? So, and I know that's a touchy subject.
Yeah, where I have to share this because I actually said to myself after I witnessed this, I would talk about this on one of my radio shows. And I'm not going to put the restaurant on blast or anything like that, but I went to a restaurant to order some food, and there was no, and this really doesn't matter, but then to a certain degree it does. There was no African Americans in there working, but the music that they were playing in the kitchen was just dropping N-word, N-word, N-words. And I could tell that the staff, when they see me up there ordering, when they start saying the N-word, to where they was wondering if they were going to get a reaction out of me. And I didn't say nothing. I was kind of offended, but then I wasn't, and I'll say that in a moment. But it just really set me back to where a business and establishments like this is allowing their staff to play this kind of music and really not doing anything about it. But the reason why I wasn't upset about it was the simple fact is it's the music. And so we want to say it ourselves, but when someone of another race said, we want to get offended. But what if this person is just singing this song that this artist done made? How do you, I'm not grasping how do you expect and get upset. We as black people are getting upset behind that when, you know, we're not being conscious of the words that we're choosing to use.
Well, it's a ridiculous argument for one to get, it doesn't make any logical sense for me to get, for anyone to get upset if they're the ones that are perpetrating language, you know, things of that nature, you know. So, I mean, whatever you use in your household is up to you. But if we're thinking about public, you know, and if you're expecting, that's the thing, like there's an entitlement behind all of this, that people feel truly entitled, you know, that other people should treat them with respect, that other people should treat them, you know, with a high regard, and they're not presenting themselves with a high regard. There's not an argument out there that I can truly be convinced of otherwise. Okay, like it's a freedom of speech and things like that. True, that's true. But don't expect people to have to accept it.
Exactly.
Okay, so this is part of the thing, is that when we're looking at, you know, folks who are successful, like, you know, that are going into these prestigious colleges and things like that and have been accepted, the opportunity is out there. They just want to see if you're truly serious and how you're presenting yourself. Isn't that right?
Yeah.
You know? Yeah, I mean, you can, if you want to be an engineer, if you want to be a doctor, if you want to do all these different things, you know, have your own, things like that. And when you go to present what you want out there to the world, you know, there's a certain type of thing that people kind of gravitate to and are really interested in, you know. Now there's this, there's a certain segment of society, like if you're in, gangster rap, things like that, there's a certain look and things like that that you portray, right? And people accept that in that society, so you feel like you don't have to do anything, right? You don't have to do anything that this guy is saying over this microphone because you've been successful,
Right.
Why should you have to listen to this? Well, I would argue this. I would argue that, for one, not everyone is going to be a successful rap star like you.
Exactly.
The young people that are listening to your music, okay? Number two is the fact that no matter what people say, oh, well, it's just freedom of speech, but what is it causing? Is it causing harm or is it causing good?
Thank you.
Okay, so I don't think that a lot of that is causing any good. Not to say that it's not enjoyable or whatever, but I think the good that comes out, if it's a story behind it, if it's a purpose
Right.
behind it,
Right.
if you're telling what's going on out there in the streets and how to avoid those things or what's happening,
Mhm.
to be aware of it. That's what true rap music before was. And I'm not getting on a soapbox and all that, but the thing was, it was a story, right?
Yeah.
It was telling the what was going on out there in the world, what people were experiencing. It was bringing to light some of the things that was left in darkness,
Mhm.
in a poetic way.
Yes, sir.
I grew up listening to it. I know what it's all
Yeah.
about.
You're
you know?
absolutely right.
Yeah,
They
so
was
that
telling stories, man. They was some of the best storytellers around.
absolutely.
Sir.
They let you into a world that you otherwise wouldn't be privy to.
That's right.
So I think there's a lot of good that can come out of it, but there's a certain accountability and responsibility for it. And to really say that there isn't, that you're not responsible for enough for it, to me was probably, well, I would think that it's more of a kind of like the blood on your hands a little bit. That's my own opinion about it, because there's certain people that when they're listening to it, they do get hyped on it.
Yep. Exactly.
And there's some people that don't have that. I'm going to talk to you as from a psychological point of view, from psychology, is that the influence over someone's mind, at a young age, when they're 10, 15 years old, and they're listening to this music, and they're seeing exactly what it is to have $10,000-$15,000 in your pocket, and then but doing all this other stuff, and they don't see any other type of hope out there. What do you think that person is going to do?
Exactly.
Young kid's going to do.
Exactly.
So it all goes back to your image, right? We're all talking about your image, your branding, who you are as a person, how you speak, how you carry yourself. All those things are really important, and this is across the board. So when we're looking at the reason why I'm mentioning Alpha M and different Cord Wayne and different other people out there is that they have a certain image that they portray, a certain brand that they're portraying. Okay, so we have to look at that when we're thinking about who we are as a person. So, and I wrote on here, Nike was the swoosh symbol. Michael Jackson, it was his glove, right? So those are the things that we think about. Muhammad Ali was his charisma. He said, "That man must fall. I'm the greatest." Right? We talked about Michael Jordan, and so one of the things that we have to think about is what makes you unique, what makes you different, what are some of the qualities that you have that no one else has? Because there indeed is only one you out there in the world. Why not make that the best you? That's the gist of what we're talking about today. Why not make that the best you? What is the best you that you can present to the world?
I like that.
Isn't that awesome? Yeah. What is the
like
most
that.
presentable you that you can present to the world? So when you go to do your, if you're a comedian, you go to do your stand-up comedy, or you go to do things like that, you're putting out the best you. Sometimes you may fail and flop, and sometimes you may hit the bullseye, but you're putting forth the best you that you can put forth. Okay, so those are the things that I think is really, really important. you are indeed a rare breed of human being. Okay? The reason why I say that, that's quote unquote, you're a rare breed of human, is that there's only one Montreal out there in the world. There's only one Bobby. Once Montreal is gone, that's it. There's no other person that's going to be exactly like me. Because so you are unique to who you are as a person. You know, all of your intricacies, all of your things that makes you uniquely you is gifted to you. How do you present that gift out there to the world? How are you going to make that possible for other people to be a part of, to really understand, to really want to gravitate to? Okay, how are you going to put that forward? So you are a unique person. All right. So this is one thing that an entrepreneur said. He wrote this book on entrepreneurship and the young, and teaching how the young people can be entrepreneurship. He says that entrepreneurship is fundamentally about the desire to solve problems effectively. Entrepreneurship is fundamentally about the desire to solve problems effectively or creatively. All right, so that's what it is. You know, when you're creative, you know, you're putting your brand out there of who you are as a person, you know, who you are as a human being, you know, the way that you talk to people, the way that you look at people, the way that you receive people in, you know, the way that you're caring, and, you know, things to that nature. You know, you truly care about the person that's in front of you.
Exactly.
Right? You truly care about the way that you're presenting yourself to that other person. You know, I think that's the true nature of an entrepreneur, you know, in my opinion. Now, there's other people who may have a different viewpoint on it, but entrepreneurship is fundamentally about the desire to solve problems creatively. You know, you have a true desire of wanting to help people, right? Wanting to solve someone's issue. That DJ thing, the problem that you're solving is not necessarily a problem, but the problem that you're solving is making that marriage ceremony the funnest time that they can have at that moment.
Exactly. You're
Right.
absolutely correct.
Isn't that right?
Absolutely correct. Yep.
Making them have the best time that they can have. You know, memorable, fun.
Right.
You know, the bride is having a good, and when the bride is throwing up her hands like that, right?
You're absolutely correct.
Am I right about it? Why don't you speak on that just a little bit?
If the bride is having a good time, the groom is satisfied, and he's absolutely correct. And I've experienced it many a time. When that bride is out there with her hands up and just having a good time, job well done.
Job well done.
I'm serious, man. I am so serious. And so and I just hear you talking about this, and it's just like, wow, right on, because at the end of the day, it's like you're saying, it's not really a problem, but I'm trying to efficient and effectively make that the most memorable wedding that these people could possibly have, because you know, we hope in our life we only have to go through it once. Things happen, but at the end of the day, while they're going through this marriage, that's, especially when it comes to the bride, that's like the most memorable moment of their life. And to be part of that, and to be that DJ, to either make it go good or go bad, it is what it is. And whether some DJs out there don't feel that the role that they play is very vital when it comes to, you know, DJing a wedding, they're absolutely wrong. And I have to thank the guy who taught me about, you know, making sure you work with the bride and the groom to make sure that, you know, it's about them, and not about, you know, I'm this DJ, so you're gonna listen to whatever music I choose to play. In my experience, and even just working in the club, I've witnessed that that's when the DJ ruin their career. When they go to do a gig and it's about them, and they just got it in their mind, you know, this mix that I put together here, I'm gonna play it, whether if it's a R&B crowd or a rock crowd. You just have to cater to the people that you're serving.
Would you say that type of DJ is closed-minded?
Yep, most definitely. Most definitely. And I've seen DJs come and go in the clubs that I've worked at, and it's when they get closed-minded to where it's just like, you know what, I know I'm a good DJ and people gonna listen to whatever mix I put out there regardless, versus trying to read the crowd, knowing that, okay, I played this kind of song, this BPM rate, whoa, I got the whole party kind of dancing. So now how could I follow that up to keep them out there? You know, and I mean, that I wasn't getting my feelings hurt, but it could be crushing when you can be playing a set and no one's out there dancing when that's your job, what you're there for is to make people dance. So, you know, everybody got egos, and sometimes I would kind of take that personally, but I took it in a way to where now what song could I play to get someone out, get people out there? And so it is, man, but it goes back to just like you're saying, just being able to solve problems efficiently to where you're not going to be able to solve them all, but just having that mentality to be able to recognize to where maybe it's me playing this certain song versus, oh, people just don't want to dance. So it's just something to really just think about, man.
Well, I'll tell you what, if you play Humpty Hump, I'll dance out there.
Yes. But see, it's just knowing that to where, you know, especially the new generation, you know, there's DJs out there that wasn't born when Rappers Delight was out.
That's certainly true.
You know, so it's just doing your homework. It's just that pursuit. So, you know, just knowing that, because you hit that right. Humpty Hump, you know, Rappers Delight, Sir Mix-a-Lot, baby. You play those songs, I don't care what era it is, even little kids will get out there and start dancing to those songs. But if you haven't done your homework, you won't know that.
Right.
You just get caught up into the new music that's out and don't realize that there's some music that came out way back that regardless of the age that you're catering to will get folks out there dancing.
That's certainly true. You know, but you're doing your homework, right? You're doing your homework on it.
There you go.
You know, you have to know that, you know, some people may not know. There's like, some folks that may not know who Soulja Boy is. Like, Soulja Boy would be our, you know, our Humpty Hump, or, you know, the equivalent to like some modern music now, you know. So all those things have to be taken into consideration, you know. But when you're thinking about true entrepreneurship, is the desire to solve problems creatively. You can be, you know, the whole world is your palette. You just have to go out there and study it and know exactly what it is that people are turned on to, you know, or people who are turned off to. You know, so those are the things that are truly important. You know, so I think one of the things that we should take into consideration here, and this is another thing that we can write down. You have someone that wrote in for you.
What do they say?
It's Tristan Robinson.
Oh, that's my son. That's my oldest son in Chicago. How you doing there, boy? Daddy love you.
So Tristan Robinson wrote in, Pops, do your thing, man. Love you.
I love you too.
Yeah. Right on. So let's talk about something, Bobby. This one was an extra long radio station set. So how are we going to, I want people not to tune out to it.
Okay.
I want people to love what we're doing. I don't want them to get fatigued on it.
Okay.
Do you feel like we can go on, or do you feel like we should close it out, or what do you think the people are feeling out there? I'm not quite sure.
I'm thinking we might, because I'm kind of watching that live button up there, and people kind of going on and on. And then another thing I don't want to happen, and I haven't really heard the music yet, but the dance class should be going. And so I don't want us to be in the deep topic and music start playing in. So why don't we start wrapping it up, give folks a little bit of a homework assignment, and then we'll come back next week and pick up where we left off today.
I like it.
Okay.
Yeah, because your son just tuned in just now.
Yeah.
You know, so, okay, so we covered quite a bit. What I would like for folks to do in this particular session is take part of it. If you're gonna listen, I mean, there's some people that have it playing, and sometimes they're doing like woodwork, or they're doing house cleaning or something like that, and they have it playing in the background. I know that there's a lot of people out there that are doing that. If you go onto Facebook Live and you wanna just listen to part of it. Doesn't listen to part of it. Listen to 15 minutes or 20 minutes of it. You know, it doesn't have to be something that is really difficult or challenging for you to get through. I just want you to benefit from the information that we're getting from you. So if it was the last half of it, review the last half. If it was the middle, review the middle of it. Okay, so let's talk about our homework assignment. What do we have there?
Well, one of the things is we wanted people to write down their short and long-term goals. What are your daily goals? And then you had some stuff for us, the stuff we wanted the folks to check out on YouTube. The history of money, John D. Rockefeller, and we had Men Who Built America. So let me repeat those. History of money, and I'm going to check these out myself. John D. Rockefeller, Men Who Built America, and then we want folks to start jotting down what are some of your short-term goals, as well as your long-term goals. Also, what are your daily goals? And I really like that whole thing of daily goals, to where something that I want to try to implement in my life is just as I end my day each day before I go home, is what are my goals for tomorrow? What are some things that I would like to accomplish the following day? And if I could just get in a habit like that, wow, I really could see the benefit of it within my personal life. And then the other thing I like is the whole thing is OPM, other people money. You know, I haven't been presented with this in that way, but and like I said, dabbling into other things and was looking into doing some real estate. I went to some seminars where they talk about utilizing other people's money. They really have. So when you pointed out what that acronym mean, it was just like, whoa, okay. I didn't hear it in this kind of arena, but at the end of the day, I've have had people talk about using other people's money. So we just got to be mindful of these things. And like I said at the beginning of the show, is to me, I look at this as about equipping people's tool belt, to where when you know and you understand how is there ways I could start bringing in income. Well, wait a minute, the internet never sleeps. Maybe I could tap into something on the internet. So this is about equipping people tool belt, because we can't live nobody's life for them. We only could give them the tools to be able to hopefully navigate through society the best that they possibly can through the information that they have received. So I can't thank you enough, to where I think about, because we did a grand round yesterday through behavioral health, and Minister Coleman and Mr. Ricky Hodges and Shoyata kind of did these presentations. And at the end of the day, it's about educating ourselves and equipping our tool belt. So I can't stop learning enough, man. I really can't. So,
well, I mean, this is it's an ongoing thing. You know,
It
the game
really
doesn't
is.
change. You know, we have to educate ourselves as the game is changing. You know, and so this is something that America is really moving in that direction of entrepreneurship. Not quitting your 9 to 5, but the 9 to 5 is, like our caller said, is a catalyst, right?
Rain, thank you for that.
You know, that's something that funds our other businesses, you know, that we should have on the side. You know, all three. We should have at least 3 or 4 of them going on. And I talked about a couple of them. eBay was one. You can sell antiques. You can sell, people do yard selling. You know, you can do books. There's all kinds of ways of doing it. eBay is free. You can put it up there. It's free to post things on eBay, but then they charge, a certain percentage because they have to make their money. And then PayPal, but after that, you calculate all of that into the final price of what you're going to sell it for. So all of those things are really important. If we're looking at total freedom, we covered a ton of those different ways of what freedom truly means to certain people. Again, my name is Montrell Jamari, licensed marriage and family therapist. We certainly thank Bobby for here. This was a great session.
Wonderful session.
Wonderful session. Wonderful session. So we had great callers, good people writing in. We certainly appreciate all those that are listening in. We want to also think about folks who, who are less fortunate, who may not have access to a lot of this information, who may not be in the know. Go out there and share it with them. Give them all the things that we talked about. And I think this will be a good thing. We want to spread this message out Billy Graham style.
And one of the things I wanted to throw out is, and people, if they listen to this later or anything like that, if you have any questions, you can send them via Facebook on AAFCC. You can call us 530-532-8854, or you can hit Montreal up at the information he's finna share with you guys right now.
Yeah, so just give me a call if you want to do individual therapy, things like that, or coaching. 1-800-895-6926. 1-800-895-6926. You can give me a call. We can meet one-on-one, and we can kind of go from there. I recommend everyone find some type of coach or therapist, as you're building your business and things like that, because you need them around you. I wouldn't be here where I'm at today if I had not had different life coaches and financial coaches and business and all kinds of other people who've been there, done that, who've been successful, and then can help steer me in the right direction.
And one of the things, and we talk about a small world, and I definitely want to give this individual a shout out, because it's funny that he was one of Montreal mentors, just as well as someone that played a positive role in my personal life, is Mr. Dwight Lewis, D.D. Lewis. Big shout going out to you. I ain't talked to you or seen you in years, brother, but I just want to thank you for just the encouragement that you've done doing me and your interaction through life in that Chico state. So big shout out to Dwight Lewis.
All right. Well, I think that's going to do it for us today. I can go on and on, but I think we should
See, I love it though. I love it because this is, and this is just me, but this is such valuable information, Montreal. I just thank you for reaching out to me, and we sit down and had that conversation. This is wonderful, just like how I visioned it would be. I really did, man, because I was sold on it when you was breaking it down to me, and to where he actually kind of made me want to get up and start going to the thrift stores and all that kind of stuff, because I once was kind of doing the eBay thing for just selling items and things like that, and so it's just I got to get back to those other things, because other income I know is a benefit, and it don't keep us enslaved, whether we think we're enslaved or not. But if you just can't just walk away from your job because you worried about your bills, sad to say, and I'm going to say the opinions voiced on this program do not necessarily reflect the views or opinions of the volunteers, board of directors, or its underwriters. It is what it is. Call it what you want, folks. So with that note, any closing words, or we going to get up out of here?
Thank you once again, sir. Till we meet next Friday, I'm going to talk with Bobby. We're going to try to do some other things out there, or some other kind of information. We'll kind of figure that out. But this is going to be, looks like the conclusion of the new 40 Acres and a Mule.
Mm-hmm.
But we are going to kind of do like a kind of a booster in different areas. We'll think of different topics, or there's other things that I think would be beneficial that kind of goes hand in hand with this. But once again, thank you everyone out there, Facebook world, radio world. I really appreciate the supporters. So we want to continue to practice Uhusani Watu. It's the big village, big community. We want to be one with each other. So I certainly thank you very much, Bobby, for this opportunity.
You're so welcome. Check out his program on Podbean, and hopefully in the near future we'll tap into that Podbean series that he's doing and get that on KOYO, your community radio. So until next time, I don't have a guest coming Monday, but in a couple of weeks we're gonna have some folks that are up for re-election and doing some stuff for city council. I got my man Daniel Kavanaugh coming on to talk about mental illnesses and things like that. And that's coming up in about after Labor Day, a couple of weeks. So stay tuned, keep it locked, 107.1 FM. We're going to do a little bit of Zap and Roger, more bounce to the ounce, because that's what we do here at 107.1 FM. It's your man, the B to the I to the G to the B to the O to the B, and I'm out of here. Man, this was awesome, brother.